Well, thanks for joining, guys. I really appreciate you guys attending these. Just to kind of preface the webinar before we get started, like I said, the session's recorded. You'll get it in an email afterwards. We also upload it to the YouTube channel, so feel free to check the YouTube channel for any of our previous recorded webinars or any of our videos in general. We have a lot of information on there, both support related, product related, anything you guys need. This webinar isn't necessarily intended to go any specific length of time. Some of the topics that we cover over the course of our sessions, are pretty quickly covered, and then some of them take a little bit longer. But ultimately, the goal of these sessions is to make sure that you guys have a time to talk to the team, get questions answered, understand anything that you want to know about Webgility, and then of course we have these planned topics to make sure that we're covering some of those important aspects. Um, and you guys see my screen, right? Perfect. Okay. Cool. So we can go ahead and get started. Today we're going to be talking about Shopify payouts for Webgility Desktop specifically. Over the last couple sessions, both for our desktop and our online sessions, we have covered Amazon settlements and how to set up Amazon. So it felt pretty natural to cover essentially the same type of thing for Shopify. Shopify is our largest connected channel that our customers use, and the payouts feature is very similar to the Amazon settlement reports feature. So that's what we'll be covering today. My name is John May. I am the video and engagement manager for Webgility. I've been with Webgility for I can't remember if it's 4 or 5 years at this point. It's been a while, and I am the face and voice of Webgility. So if you go to any of our webinars, if you see any of our YouTube videos, or call into our phone system, I am omnipotent in that way. So I am also joined by Virendra Singh. I'll let you introduce yourself, Virendra.
Hey, good morning, everyone. So it's pretty long journey with Webgility. I've been in the support, now in the implementation, have done many implementations in the past and currently managing the team. So yeah, the topic that we have brought in today, Shopify payouts, is indeed one of the most talked about things in the e-commerce world, like how people manage it, how the accounting goes for the Shopify payouts, how Webgility handles it. Yeah, so we're gonna be covering all this today.
Perfect. Yeah, and so just to go over the agenda real quick, we'll just do a quick intro on Shopify payouts, and when I say quick, I mean lightning quick. There's not a whole lot to talk about other than what they are, why we're talking about them, and then we'll go into a quick configuration video that talks through how to set up Shopify payouts in WebGility, and then some guided screens to sort of demo the functionality. Um, I want to preface all of this by saying that similarly to Amazon settlements, it's really hard for us to get a demo environment where we can show you fee reconciliation or just fees in general, expenses in general from stores. Both Amazon and Shopify have sandbox accounts or trial accounts, test accounts, but none of them are going to have real expense data. That requires a lot more on the back end, and it's just resources that they don't generally make available to their partners. So in place of a live demo, we have screenshots that you know show that functionality and everything, and we'll talk through everything that's going on the screen. But yeah, just to kind of explain why you're not seeing us actually in Webgility Desktop, it's mostly just because we can't test that functionality live. Um, so yeah, if you have questions, ask them throughout the webinar. We're more than happy to answer any questions you guys have. If it pertains directly to what we're talking about, we may answer it right in that moment. If it doesn't necessarily pertain to Shopify payouts or exactly what we're talking about in the moment, we'll save it for the Q&A at the very end. You are more than welcome to ask any question, regardless if it's on topic or not. Just know that if it's something that is directly related to your subscription or might require, some support, reach out. We'll have to get with you after the session, which is totally fine. Just know that we might not be able to answer everything directly on the call. If we can't, we will follow up with you and make sure it's good to go. All right, so just to kind of quickly jump into what Shopify Payouts is, it is the expense reporting feature from within Shopify directly. So much like Amazon settlements, you are sort of paying Shopify to use their platform. And I see somebody raise their hand. Reba, did you mean to raise your hand? If you did not, that is totally fine. I can give you the floor if you would like to talk. Okay, cool. Just making sure. That happens a lot, so just wanted to make sure. So yeah, Shopify payouts are the expense reporting feature. Webgility is able to connect to Shopify, download those expenses, those fees, and post them on that running biweekly basis to QuickBooks. Um, much like Shopify or much like Amazon, we have to go in and sort of configure things to make sure that those expenses are getting pulled properly and able to post properly into the accounting system. Um, but yeah, I mean, I think it's super important to understand how to set Webgility up properly to make sure that that information gets pulled in correctly. And I think having Varen on this call and any of the sessions that we do when we have the implementation team on, I think it's super useful because these guys deal with these problems or these workflows every single day. They're super common, and what better source of truth or source of knowledge to have on these calls than the people that deal with it every single day. So appreciate you being on here, Virendra. Let's go ahead and dive in. So we'll start with a video, like I said, just kind of talking through or going through how to set up Shopify payouts directly in Webgility. Varen is going to talk through it as the video plays, since there's no audio on the video itself. But take it away.
Right. Yeah. Thanks, John. So let's first go through the configuration phase, like what is the ideal setup that we need to do for being able to easily reconcile the Shopify payouts. So there's the first configuration screen. Let's do the order settings. The main thing that we need to remember is that we need to post it as invoice. You can choose if you want to post individual orders or combine them in a consolidated way as a single entry. It's completely up to you. In the settings, you can select the terms, the sales rep, whatever settings you need. The most important two common settings that need to be done cautiously here is the selection of the deposit to account. It must be Shopify clearing. And then we need to select the option record payment. So as soon as the order is downloaded in Webgility, it will be recorded in accounting as a payment due invoice. Once the payout is received, then Webgility is going to create the payment for it. That's the whole workflow of reconciliation. Another thing that we need to take care of is that we need to make sure we are using credit memo and automated refund posting for the configuration.
Awesome. And do you know why that is? Or is that just something that's built into the process for payouts?
It's the automated built-in process because as soon as the payouts are received, Webgility is going to calculate how many refunds are there, how many orders have been posted
Got it.
uh, that are associated with those. So that's one of the reasons why we want to automate. Like the whole purpose of doing this is to automate things.
Got it. Yeah, that makes sense. So, to kind of relate it back to, I'm going to use Amazon as an example here because it's the
Yep.
direct comparison. Because payouts are the process of pulling in all of those fees related to the transactions. You need to make sure that all of the transactions are posted, is what you're saying, right? So,
Yep.
any refunds, credit memos, anything that gets posted alongside your transactions that would be reflected in the fees, they need to be able to match up so that we can tell that everything is
Yep.
there,
And
essentially,
we
right?
generate the refund payment on the same date as the payout date. That's another reason because we want to match all the dates.
Got it. Okay,
We
cool.
make
Yeah, that
sure
makes
that
sense.
yep. Let's play the video. As soon as you select these options, a credit memo tab will be open. Here we need to make sure that the credit memo account used is the same as Shopify clearing account. And here is the automated refund posting. This is where we will select the account. So this keeps all the entries properly aligned and ensures that refunds are reflected accurately during the reconciliation. Okay, products. There's nothing specific to configure here. You can choose your preferred settings based on your workflow. Same as customers, we generally recommend using same customer. For the sales tax discounts, The recommended setup is to use or post the sales tax as a line item. Otherwise, you can choose other way. However, the recommended way is to post it as a line item by selecting the appropriate tax item that you created in QuickBooks. Or during the implementation, you can actually create them and then set them up here in Webgility.
Yeah, and unlike Amazon, obviously Shopify doesn't remit taxes for you in the same
Yep,
way that Amazon does. So this is why, if you have been on the previous webinars that we've done over the past couple weeks and seen how we set up sales tax for Amazon, it's very different here. We opt not to collect sales tax in this screen for Amazon because Amazon remits for you. Here, we want to pull in that sales tax so that it can be remitted properly. Um, Generally, and the reason why you're selecting record sales tax from the sales channel rather than letting QuickBooks recalculate it is because Shopify has already calculated that sales tax. You should have your jurisdiction set up properly in Shopify because the customer's paying at that point. So then we're able to pull in whatever the customer paid on that order, and then we can post it to QuickBooks for you. So making sure that you have the line items set up in QuickBooks to reflect this is the only important thing here. But that's just kind of a little explanation as to why we do it this way in Shopify.
absolutely. Yeah, this is a different setup as compared to a recommended Amazon setup. And for the discounts, like you choose the item to record discounts and other charges. The expenses and fees, this one is important. The preferred way to record Shopify expenses and fees through a check. This is what we select as a default item. So you'll be using two separate accounts here in the check. One is the Shopify clearing account, and the second is the Shopify expense account. So again, you can choose the specific expense account that you want to use, but make sure the bank account is always Shopify clearing. And the date is the payout date. An easy setup. The last part of the settings is the payout settings. Here also we need to do the credit memo because we receive the uh, refunded payment fees. That's why it's required here. So download the payout and reconcile with accounting. These are the two checkboxes that we need to select that will make the payout reconciliation easy. Otherwise, Webgility is going to post the invoices and create the payment at the same time. So to properly follow the payout workflow, these two options need to be selected here. And for any adjustments, yeah, either Webgility will create a check for a negative value or will create a deposit for a positive value. So make sure to configure the deposit and check settings separately. And once again, both should point to Shopify clearing account. So easy setup.
Yeah, very easy. I see Len mentioned that this keeps cutting out. Not sure if it's on my end. Not cutting out on. Okay, I was gonna ask if anybody else was having that issue. Len, we'll send this recording out so that you can watch it back. Don't worry, you're not missing out necessarily. We can send it so you can review it if you'd like. I feel like now is a good time to answer a couple questions. We got a bunch of questions in the chat. So we'll take a second and answer as many of these as we can. We'll start with Abby. Abby asked in the question and answer box, we've been downloading payouts daily since using Webgility. As of last week, payouts are now downloading a day late. Is there a reason for this? Is there a way to fix it? For accounting purposes, we need to download the payouts daily. Definitely understandable. Varen, do you know of any ongoing issue or anything that would cause payouts to be downloading a day later than normal?
No, usually as soon as the payout report is available, Webgility should download it. If it's
Okay.
not happening, if it's a one-off case, maybe there might be some delay. However, if you encounter this on a regular basis, it's an issue that needs to be investigated.
Okay.
Otherwise, I haven't seen this happening. As soon as the payout is available and if Webgility is on, the internet connection is stable, Webgility should download it automatically.
Perfect. Okay. So, yeah, Abby, I'll get with the team internally and we can follow up with you after the call just to, do our due diligence, see if there's anything going on our end. and we can get it corrected for you. Yeah, it definitely doesn't sound like that's the intended use case. So doesn't sound like a you issue. It sounds like something needs to be fixed, but we'll look into it. Okay, lots of questions in the chat. I see we have been downloading Shopify payouts daily to QuickBooks. That's the same question. Okay, just kidding. Shopify delays sending to us. Is that the issue? It could be. If Shopify has a delay, I know it's sort of like Amazon has a similar. I'm sorry to keep relating everything back to Amazon, but Amazon sort of has a similar situation sometimes where it's kind of on Amazon's time, right? Like they may have a schedule that they like to stick to, but it ultimately like we're kind of at their mercy when it comes to when they make those payouts downloadable on our end. So I think it's good for us to look into it if you're experiencing something pretty regularly here. It sounds like Abby that it's every
Yep.
single day, obviously. So I think it's worth looking into. But always keep in mind that there is a third party here, right? Like Shopify is sort of their own organization, so some issues may be on Shopify's end. Not saying that's the case here, but we'll definitely look into it either way. Okay. I'm gonna scroll up a little bit just to make sure I didn't miss anything. We are Shopify based and push to QuickBooks Online. Our Webgility is set up to create sales receipts into QuickBooks. What is the difference between choosing sales receipts or invoices? So invoices and as they relate to payouts, are the preferred method for making sure that expenses are tracked properly, and that is because you're getting the record of the transaction, and then you're finishing that. You're creating a full record of the transaction essentially when those payouts get downloaded. Am I explaining that correctly, Varen?
Yes. So if you receive 100 orders today on Shopify, you might not get the payout for all those 100 orders, right? So some orders might not be settled by payout by Shopify payments. So that's one of the reasons why we prefer creating invoice, because when we download payout, we have the information what orders actually have been settled or what orders Shopify has actually uh, paid to the seller. So we create payment only for those invoices, only for those orders that have actually been settled by Shopify payments.
And
This
that
is
doesn't
this way you
necessarily mean that
can.
you can't use sales receipts, right? Like I've definitely seen people use sales receipts, but you maybe have a higher margin for errors or things not working properly if you do, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, so Beth, it sounds like what you have set up might be perfectly fine when it comes to processing payouts, but if you run into any issues or like payouts not being able to be posted because something doesn't match up, it might be worth looking into running everything through invoices, just to make sure that it's consistent. How will this work with QuickBooks Enterprise? Sharon says. Exactly how we're showing it. So what we're connecting to here is a QuickBooks Desktop Enterprise connection. So everything that we're sort of explaining through when it comes to Shopify payouts and Webgility Desktop, we are sort of working off the assumption that you're using QuickBooks Desktop Enterprise. That's like generally the environment that we like to demo in because it's what everybody uses, at least when it comes to using QuickBooks Desktop and using WebGility Desktop.
So the
Um,
reconciliation flow that we support is actually for both QuickBooks Online and QuickBooks Desktop, as far as you're using Quick WebGility Desktop application. So it should work for both.
Perfect. And Domenica asks, how can I match accounts receivable with Shopify or Amazon? Is there any exact report that shows me this? Um, we might need to double click on that, just to make sure I understand exactly what you're saying. But when you're when you're setting up your WebGility for either your Shopify or Amazon, you're mapping your accounts receivable directly within WebGility. So any transactions that get downloaded can be routed directly to those accounts in your chart of accounts. Now, when it comes to how to do that, I think it's honestly just to make it super easy for you. Just reach out to our team internally, and we can go through the process of making sure that things are mapped properly. Um, but once you've mapped them, once you've gone in and set up the settings under your WebGility account, then it should all be good to go from there. I think we're just about caught up. If you use bank feeds in QuickBooks, that's a good point. Kim Barrow says if you use bank feeds in QuickBooks, that could be the problem. I'm assuming that relates to the delay in payouts being received. That sounds like something that I've heard in the past when it comes to just bank feeds causing issues in general, with delays and certain information not being available right away. We've been having the same payout. Bank reflects the deposit. Our bank reflects the deposit too. I use sales receipt. Explanation is long. Do have an issue with refunds not moving to QuickBooks Online. I'll connect with support later. Perfect. Yeah. So if kind of like I said earlier, if you have something that's not working properly or as intended from what you can tell, honestly, best thing is to get in contact with our support team and we can verify 100% that it's not on your end and that it's something with the Webgility connection or on the Shopify end. And then we can make sure that it gets fixed. Because obviously, like being able to download payouts and your transactions is a core functionality for Webgility. It should work for you. So whether that means that we just need to go in and tweak a couple settings or investigate some larger issue that maybe needs to be escalated to Shopify directly, that's something that we can absolutely do. So when we use payout, QuickBooks doesn't pay or close the invoice, and only when the payout is posted, the invoice is marked as paid. Any way to set the invoice marked as paid when the invoice is posted? I believe that's something you can do in the settings directly in sort of the sync settings that we're looking at here on the screen, right, Farin?
Yes, we just need to disable the payout settings then, the one on the screen.
Hmm.
Because Webgility is creating the payment when it actually has the record through the payout that this particular order has actually been uh, paid by Shopify to the seller. That's when we create the invoice payment.
Got it. So yeah, what you're
That's
saying is you would uncheck this order setup drop down or the
yes,
checkbox here, and then you would set your invoices to be marked or posted
marked
and
as
marked as
paid
paid.
straight away. Yep.
Okay,
That
got it.
way, the as soon as the invoice is created, the payment will also be created.
Got it. Yep, that's exactly as I understand it. So, if you'd like, it was Johnny who asked that question. If you'd like, I can at the end go and we can pull up Webgility Desktop and I can show you what that mapping looks like. But just to kind of allude to it, if you're under the orders section here in Webgility Desktop, there's a section for your invoices, like we showed earlier, where you go and you can set up how you want it to be posted and marked as paid. So that's how you'll get that second part of this done. First part is just making sure that this box is unchecked in that case so that it doesn't automatically post it. Cool. All right, Michelle, I can do that as well. Anissa asked if my settings are correct, what causes refund errors and cannot pay more than amount owed? Um, That's a good question. We would need to probably look exactly at what's happening. If your settings are correct, ideally, like things would just work out of the box. Generally, what happens with errors, specifically related to expenses like payouts and settlement reports, is that something's missing. Something either got refunded, an order got changed, or an order's missing that needed to be posted. So usually that's what causes the mismatch in what's owed versus what's paid.
Absolutely, some part of the information we are not able to tie it back to QuickBooks.
Yeah. Yeah, ultimately, I mean, this whole process is at its core very simple, right? Like the whole purpose of us downloading these payout reports is to make sure that you get the full picture of fees and expenses and transactions all together, right? So in a perfect environment, you're downloading your orders every single day, you're downloading your payouts every single day. And then at once those both get posted, we can see the full picture and everything balances out. When something doesn't work, it's usually just because something is missing. And a lot of times it's because an order has changed or a refund was processed that didn't show up in Webgility and we don't know. So if your settings are correct, that's probably what's happening. I'd say probably best for you to get with our support team, just like the rest of these, just so we can look and see what actually is happening, and make sure that we get it fixed for you. Cool. And last question. I know usually we save everything for the Q&A at the very end, but I feel like this is a very good time to answer these questions because we're sort of in the middle of it. So this may be another question for a different webinar, but it relates to Amazon as well. On Shopify invoices, we are reflecting and processing fees as well, but Amazon only allows the Amazon fees as a separate payout and cannot reflect on each invoice. Why is that? That might be one we come back to, unless you have an answer right off the top, Varen.
We need to look into it.
Yeah, let me ruminate on that one while we finish up here. Uh, cool. So the rest of these are screenshots of sort of the process of downloading and posting payouts.
Yeah, the rest of the, I mean, once the configuration is all done and we start using the application, where we would navigate and download the payouts, post them to QuickBooks, how we would check whether the amount is matching with the payout amount or not. And the last part is the transfer entry. So these are all the steps that we need to complete in order to be able to fully reconcile the payouts in QuickBooks. So before we go into that, just a quick information about the payout reconciliation. Like this particular payout reconciliation only works for Shopify payments. But if you're using Authorize.net, PayPal, any other third-party payment processor, and orders are processed through those, then you may need to change some of the settings or apply some additional settings so that the orders that belong to those payment processors can be posted to their respective accounts in QuickBooks. However, this payout part, like creating the invoice and marking them as paid only once the payout is available, that is something that you will need to manage manually for those payment processors.
So
All
this is
right, so
go ahead. Sorry.
right, so now that the configuration is complete, since I don't have access to the live Shopify accounts, as John explained, we'll be using the screenshots to explain it. Uh, can you move one slide up, John? Yeah,
Is
one
that good?
more. Yeah, here we have highlighted the navigation. Like you just go to the order section, click on the Shopify button, and go to the payout section. Once you are in there, and if you don't see, go to the next slide. All the payouts that have been downloaded by Webgility, like if you have set up the automation, Webgility will automatically download them. Anything that's not posted will show under the pending section, and the one that's posted will move to the posted section. So simply click on the post to QuickBooks button after selecting the payout. And since we have already completed the configuration earlier, Webgility will post this payout automatically following our standard setup and rules. As soon as the posting is completed successfully, you'll see a confirmation message on your screen. The payout then will move to the posted section. That's it's already highlighted there. You can check the amount and the date of the payout. And the second screenshot of QuickBooks shows the exact amount that's under Shopify clearing account. So once the payout is posted, the balance in the Shopify clearing account should match with the payout amount. That's the logic. Once this is done, that's matching. The next part is to create a transfer entry. So this is we have verified the clearing account balance now. Uh, you just go to the Shopify clearing account, right click and click open the transfer entry. Please make sure that the date of the transfer is exactly the same as the payout date. The from account transfer from account must be Shopify clearing, because this is the account that we are using for depositing all the money that's coming from Shopify payouts from Shopify orders. And here, transfer to account, I have, for the demo purpose, I have selected undeposited funds. However, this must be your actual checking or the bank account where you receive the feed of the income of the Shopify payout. And the last part that you need to make sure is the amount. The transferred amount should exactly match the payout amount. For the memo purpose, we usually recommend customers to use the payout ID, because then you can easily refer it back to either in QuickBooks, in Webgility, or in Shopify directly. So that's an easy way to actually refer it back. That's why in the memo field, we recommend using the payout ID. You can easily copy it and paste it here from Webgility itself. That's done. So once the transfer is done, you can see in the third screenshot, the balance in Shopify clearing should be zero. That's because
Perfect.
we have transferred the entire payout amount to the actual bank account, completing the reconciliation.
Cool. Yeah. So the entire process from start to finish is your orders are downloaded daily from Shopify, your payouts get downloaded daily, and in the payouts are all the transactions or all the orders that got transferred as well. We cross-reference those to make sure they're all included in the payout so that all the fees and orders match up. We post it to QuickBooks. That's where you get the amount that shows up under the Shopify clearing account, and then you transfer that to the correct undeposited funds, bank check, whatever it is. And
So
then
as far as the automation goes, like Webgility has full automation starting from downloading the payouts, downloading orders, posting them, posting the payouts as well. But the screenshot that you see here, these are the steps that need to be done manually because it's something that you need to do in QuickBooks.
yeah, yeah, and that's actually something that I like to talk about on basically every webinar we do is that it can be easy to say that Webgility will reconcile for you, right? Like,
Yeah.
it's great for us to be able to say that, right? Like, I would love for Webgility to say that, like, we reconcile your books for you, because that's, I think reconcile is sort of a naughty word for a lot of people. It's something that people don't generally want to do themselves because it is a lot of work. But I like to say that Webgility gets you as close to the finish line as possible, but as far as the actual reconciliation process goes, it's always going to be a human process. You should always have somebody going in and sort of clicking those final buttons to make sure that everything is correct. It should be a human process at the very end of the process. We can get you all the way to the end to where all you have to do is make sure that the amounts match. But just something that I like to add because it's very easy to think that like Webgility automates things. It's reconciling it for me, and then you just kind of set it and forget it, and it's not necessarily that case. It's good to have somebody go in and do that final check. So cool. Well, that's all we had for the specific walkthrough. While Varen was kind of walking through it, I actually went and found our Shopify Payouts reconciliation article. So I'm going to post that in the chat. It'll be included in the email as well that we send out to anybody that registered or attended. So uh, feel free to you know click on it in the email. But this will walk through basically everything we talked about with gifts and kind of talk through how to set up Shopify payouts directly in Webgility Desktop. I will take note of everybody that talked today that we need to maybe go and review, just to make sure that we're reaching out to you. Let's make sure we didn't miss any questions. Now is a dedicated Q&A session, so if you do have any additional questions, this is uh, exactly when to ask them. Can you send a mapping expenses example? Uh, Mapping expenses. Yeah,
Usually,
so
there are not many expenses associated with Shopify orders. It's payment processing fees. And if there is any other fees, that's part of the payout. Otherwise, there are not many. Like it's not like Amazon that there are hundreds of types of expenses and fees.
yeah, you don't have the long list of expenses there. I'm gonna because there was the spot that talked through the expenses a little bit so that you can at least see that. So here's like an expenses and fees. This is really like the gist of it, right? Like you're going in and mapping the payment fees and the refunded fees, and that's it.
Yep.
So when you're mapping these, that's this sort of up to you in terms of how you want to map it. Under the setup button, it'll let you kind of dictate which accounts and everything you want to map to. But it's sort of personal preference up to your workflow, however you work things. James asked, we dropship an order to fill orders. We currently download as sales orders, then invoice the sales order when the order is fulfilled 1 to 2 days later. Also, sales orders have a bin location for picking. Is it possible to use the automation? I would say yes. it's a little more complicated than just like, downloading an order, having it posted, and then, Shopify payouts recognizing that that order's been posted. But that doesn't mean that it's not possible. It just means that there might be a little extra legwork to make it work properly. So you download the orders as sales orders and then invoice it. I'm assuming you're invoicing it after it's been downloaded into Webgility. Um, I would need to know exactly like what your process is for how you handle these orders, but um ultimately like the automation process is just as long as the information is there in WebGility, then we can automate it. So just depending on how you set up those orders from the sales order to the invoice process, that's the only thing that we'll need to know. If you'd like, I would honestly just reach out to our team and we can make sure. I know I say that a lot. It's super easy for me to say because I'm not the one doing it. But if you reach out to our team, we're able to make sure that if it's not possible for you to automate that right now, that we can at least get you to a point where most of it's automated, or maybe there's a workflow that makes it fully automated for you.
Yeah, it looks like there are some extra checkpoints when
Mhm.
it comes to fully automating it. So probably a customized setup could help, but we first need to evaluate all the needs and whether or not we can do it.
Yeah, my first thought would be because you're downloading sales orders, so they would exist in Shopify as a sales order, right? You could maybe not download the order into Webgility until it's been downloaded as an invoice. So in my mind, the process would be you handle the sales order within Shopify directly. Then when you do fulfill it that 1 to 2 days later and mark it as an invoice, we can download it as an invoice inside of Webgility, post it to QuickBooks, and then it's essentially everything that we talked about. Super straightforward, nothing complicated there. So that's how I would picture it working. But again, I would just talk to the team and we can make sure that it's set up optimally for you. James, I can have somebody reach out to you, so I'll take. I got a long list today. I'll have the team internally reach out to you within the next day or so. Perfect. And Debbie asked a question: is there a way to separate Shopify orders being placed into QuickBooks depending on their tags? We have wholesale and retail customers and would need them to be different revenue streams in QuickBooks. Glad you asked. I don't know if you're using Shopify, their B2B add-on. Um, if you are, we have a direct integration with the Shopify B2B offering that allows you to segment things a lot easier. If you don't use Shopify B2B, there is still a way to segment things just like you're talking about. Think we might have an article that talks through sort of the workaround option because the Shopify B2B integration that we have is sort of newer. And we've been servicing people that have wholesale and retail for quite some time. So there's a lot of the ways that you can do the same thing inside of WebGility. Off the top of my head, you could set up so in the orders section, like you're seeing here on the screen under the sync settings, under orders, you can set up so that orders post differently depending on the order type or the order status. So you could use, some mixture of order statuses for your wholesale orders versus your retail, and then we can post them to different accounts, which keeps it segmented. If you're using the Shopify B2B add-on that WebGility has, it's a lot easier. We can just automatically segment them based on the order type. Super easy. The bin information, that's one thing I'm not super versed on. Varen, can you talk through the bin specifically and how that gets pulled
So
in?
if you already know which bin belongs, like if a particular item has a specific or a default bin, there is a place in WebGLT where you can map the bin locations as well, but it should be predefined. So WebGLT has the option to map the inventory site location, but if you want to be able to map the bin location, there is a place. However, it should be predefined in QuickBooks. So I think we can reach out to WebGLT support or maybe onboarding@webglt.com and we can provide you some help.
Perfect. Yeah, and I'm taking note of everybody just so we can make sure that we're taking care of you. But if you'd like to, kind of kickstart that conversation, feel free to reach out to support at or onboarding at webgility.com and we can start the
Yeah.
conversation.
And for
Um,
the wholesale and retail segregation as well, I suggest you reach out to onboarding@webgility.com. Not, I mean, this is the email, or the onboarding team. If you reach out with your needs, we do have some inbuilt customizations that you can make use of. And of course, as John mentioned, the B2B add-on that we have that might also help you. But we first need to determine the exact needs.
Perfect. And I'm just making sure that we're not missing anything. If you are inside or if you're on our website, if you log into your customer portal, just like your customer account, you can start a chat directly with our support team directly from within there. You can do that directly on our website as well, just our regular chat. It takes an extra step essentially, because they'll have to get you with somebody on the support team. So whether you're reaching out through email or chat, we are more than happy to help. And any questions that you have, we're happy to get fixed for you. So, um, I'm looking for the B2B article. It sounds like that's what you were asking for, right, Debbie? Yeah. So I'm looking for the B2B matching within desktop, and I can send that your way. But it looks like we got through all of the questions, unless I missed anything. Do you see anything?
I think we covered them all.
Sweet. Um, cool. Well, appreciate you guys joining today. If anybody has any other questions, now's the time to ask them. Happy to answer them. Like I said, taking notes of all the questions that were asked just so we can get them to you. I do want to hand it over to Eshita for the last little portion of this call. Eshita is on our customer marketing team, and she's just got a word to share with you.
Hey, hi everyone. So, in the past few months, you might have been receiving a newsletter from Webgility, and that's something that I have taken over as my responsibility to engage with you guys. And we are hoping to build a Webgility customer community where you can connect with other users, learn tips from Webgility super users, and get product updates all in one place. So I just wanted to know your preference of what channel would you prefer, like Slack or Facebook group or anything else where you hang out. Just drop your answer in the chat of your preferable channel, and yeah, that is my sole request from you so that we can plan it around that. Thanks.
Perfect. Perfect. Yeah. So Slack. Okay, cool. Yeah, so we obviously want to create a community that talks to you guys in the spaces that you exist in. We don't want you to have to, go sign up and jump through a bunch of hoops to join the community. The overall goal for this sort of community is to give you guys a voice amongst yourselves, and have a fast track to speak to us, right? So we do these webinars as sort of in addition to that. We would love to have you guys have a space where you can collaborate with each other. I mean, honestly, when it comes to e-commerce and being in the e-commerce world, I think it's important to have friends in that space and understand, how everybody else does things. And something that we see a lot on these webinars specifically is we have questions that maybe Varen and I can't answer because we don't live in the world directly, right? Like we support you guys and work with a product that helps you, but we might not know all the ins and outs of the way that e-commerce works on like that lived experience. So having you guys able to share those experiences with each other is super important to us. I think it looks like a direct split between Slack and Facebook. So I think that's where we'll start, and we'll continue to refine it down. It's a ways off in terms of getting a community like this off the ground. We want to make sure that it is valuable to you guys. So we don't want it to just be like a chat room where it's like, all right, have fun, everybody. We want you guys to have resources and get people that are interested in helping each other and building a community from the ground up. So there's my spiel. Thanks for listening. I am still looking for the Shopify B2B article that I talked about just to make sure we have one. I'll share that in the email that we send out either today or tomorrow, and it'll also include the article for setting up payout reconciliation in Webgility Desktop as well. So you'll get all the information that we talked about today. May we please have your email addresses or contact info? Eshta, are you handing out your email address?
Sure,
Can people?
sure. Yeah.
Perfect. So I can include those if you want to just drop your email in the chat. Ashta, mine is john.may@webgility.com. Fair warning, sometimes my email box gets clogged because when I send invite emails, they autoresponders all come back to me. So I get like 1,000 emails a day if I'm sending emails out. So it might take me a minute to get back to you because I'll have to go through and sift through everything. But I will follow up at some point. Perfect. So if you're looking for emails, they are in the chat now. If you guys need anything, again, reach out to our support team. We're happy to take care of any issues you have. Make sure that things are set up properly for you. We'll do another one of these sessions in about a month. So it'll be, what is the next one? The 12th of November. We do technically every 2 weeks, but we swap between desktop and online, just to make sure that things are as straightforward as possible in the way that we're demoing or presenting things. You're more than welcome to show up to every single webinar, whether it's online or desktop. Just know that whenever we put something on the screen that shows Webgility, if it's an online webinar, we're probably going to be showing a Webgility online. If it's desktop, we'll show desktop. May I have someone contact me about the inventory and COGS piece with Webgility? Absolutely. I'm just going to go ahead and screenshot a whole lot. Perfect. So yeah, I'll take your name down and we'll go through and just make sure that everybody's been contacted that has requested it. If you don't hear from us in the time that you are expecting to hear from us, I would say it's within the next day or so. Feel free to reach out and we can always take care of you. Cool, everybody. Well, appreciate you guys joining today. It's always nice to have very engaging webinars. So we appreciate the questions, appreciate everything. The recording is absolutely being sent to you, Rita. Usually it takes me between a day or two just to make sure if I have a lot of meetings going on, but I think I'm going to be able to get it done today. I'll edit it, put it up on YouTube, and then send it out in an email as well. So look forward to that email. And yeah, thanks for joining, Andrea. Anytime that you guys have any questions, again, just ask, and we look forward to seeing you on the next webinar. Everybody have a wonderful rest of your week, and take care. The link to other recordings. So if you go to our YouTube channel, if you click the link that leads to the YouTube video for this recording, we have a playlist that is all of these recordings. So it'll take you to all of the webinars that we've done in the past, as long as you find the customer webinar series is what the playlist is called. There's also a link to the playlist on the landing page that you signed up for the webinar on. So every time you get an invite to the next webinar, there's a little section towards the bottom that says, if you missed this session, you can watch all of our previous recordings here. That'll take you directly to the playlist that shows all the recordings. Cool. All right, everybody. Thanks again and enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks, Varen. Thanks, Eshta. Appreciate you both.